All right. I think we are live, people. Hello, hello, hello. It's Jerlene, and I'm live from Long Beach, and I got some special guests this morning. Um, and no matter when you're watching it, whether it's morning, evening, afternoon, middle of the night, thanks for joining. Um, I don't want to say this an impromptu conversation, but it's a conversation we've kind of been putting off for the last few weeks in regard to the Long Beach Unified School District and the commitment to Black students. So again, Jerlene live from Long Beach, talk of the town. Today, we're just going to be having a conversation or responding, or actually, I got a little banner. Community response to LBUSD's Black Student Achievement Initiative. So if you are watching now, watching later, please let us know that you've been here. Give us a thumbs up. You don't like it, let us know. Drop a word in a comment. Please share. I'm going to take a few moments to start sharing this with some folks. So this is streaming on Jerlene Tatum's personal page, and YouTube. And this morning, I'm joined with Dr. Kim Tabari, LBUSD parent, Nicole Ochi, public advocates, Michael Ball, Children Defense Fund, Pastor Cedric Nelms, Innovative Schools. I'm going to step back and each one of you just take a moment to introduce yourself to folks.
I can start. Hi, y'all. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day you're catching this. Thanks for leaning into this conversation. That's so important to have, how to share back how the community is feeling about what is happening in the Long Beach Unified School District. I am a parent advocate. I do not work for the district. I know you see me in a lot of meetings and a lot of public comments, but I am a parent really fighting for the collective we in the city, and the collective we being all Black students in the city of Long Beach, which 75 to 80% of them are failing. Yes, those are the correct numbers. So please, listen in, and then we'll have some call to actions at the end. I'll pass it to Nicole.
Hi, everyone. Nice to be here. My name is Nicole Ochi. My pronouns are she, her. I'm an attorney with Public Advocates, and my role here is to support, really powerful parent leaders like Kim and Jerlene in Long Beach and in other places. I'm happy to be here and talk about this really important issue. And I will pass it over to Michael.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michael. I'm a policy associate at Children's Defense Fund. I am in the education equity team at that office, and we do a lot of work in local education work, regional education work, and state education work, but we've been supporting the parents in Long Beach specifically for at least the past 5 years. And I will pass it to Pastor Cedric.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining in on this conversation. My name is Cedric Nelms. I am a community organizer with Innovate Schools, where we deal with educational equity for low-income families, in particular our Black and Latino families, is what I work with, and constantly trying to push forward in, like the rest of my colleagues on the call. I am a parent, but most of my children, all of my children are through K through 12, but they've been educated here in the Los Angeles County area as far as schooling is concerned. And I'm a big proponent of when parents lead, results happen. So I'm here to support and do whatever we have to do to make sure that the parents of Long Beach, their voices are heard. So glad to be here.
So maybe to start us off, sorry, go ahead, Jerlene.
No, I was going to say thank you for all of you for joining. I am going to take a participatory role today, and Nicole is going to help direct this conversation. And so thank you. I'm ready.
All right. Well, let's see how this goes. Trying this on. So I think first, let's just ground ourselves in what is the Black Student Achievement Initiative in Long Beach, and how did we get here? And can we hear first from Jerlene and Kim about sort of what has been your experience as Black parents with Black children in this district. Why did you fight for the Black Student Achievement Initiative, and how did we get where we are right now?
I'll jump right in. 2017, 2018, there was a settlement agreement that was reached by Long Beach Unified School District and some community partners regarding the misspending of funds specifically for students of the greatest need, Black and Brown students. And the settlement called for the district to work with community to kind of shift this, to change this narrative, and to do more parent outreach, to bring more parents into the LCAP process, the local control accountability plan, which is the plan in which which sets the budget for the school district. And they were called into that. I got an opportunity to serve in that group to organize and plan community events for parents and students and stakeholders to come in and learn about LCAP, and got an opportunity to work with Children's Defense Fund and public advocates. I participated in that group. We did more than just prepare for these community forums. During that time, we were communicating with community and other parents and find out what the needs were. And when we reached year 3, every year during the budget process, we would basically present our findings and recommendations for the budget. In year 3, we pushed hard. Dr. Dabari joined this committee at that time, and we pushed really hard for Black students to be a focus. And when I say we pushed hard, the work of this group, which we were kind of impromptu or informally named the LCAP community group, or LCAP community advocacy group, we push for Black, the word Black, to be in the LCAP and to specifically identify Black students and to stop bundling them as need or whatever terms that they were using. And what it resulted in was some specific naming and identification of students. And out of that, again, was this whole push for making a focus on Black students, which the district came back and said, we're going to start this Black Student Achievement Initiative. We're going to allocate $750,000. We're going to create a Black Student Achievement Initiative Advisory Group. And then the last year is what happened.
Thanks so much for sharing, Jerlene. And just want to underscore how, I don't know if it's like revolutionary it was in Long Beach to have the word Black in there, right? Because Long Beach has not been a district that wants to be race conscious. So just want to applaud, all y'all for all that effort. So I'm going to ask Kim if you want to add anything to this kind of history and timeline.
Yeah, thank you, Nicole. I think Jerlene summed it up so beautifully, and just really, really want to underscore that a lot of this work has been happening for years through the LCAP. So none of this is new. This is not a new party. It's just a new outfit, right? But it's the same party we've been at, trying to speak up for Black students and really make systemic changes. So it's important to note that we're not doing this because any of our kids are failing, right? Well, they may or may not be. That's not the point. We're not really doing it because each of our individual students are failing. We're doing this because 80% of our students are failing. 80% of our Black students. And I think it's important for the community to hear that, because when we talk about the we, who is this we that people are always talking about, right? Is it you and your aunties and your uncles? Or is it you and your neighbor and the person down the street and the person in District 1 and District 2 and District 3? It's all the Black kids, right? That live all over the city. So I think it's really, really, really critical that we underscore that. And as you said, Nicole, race hasn't been something that's really been embraced and talked about in this district. And I really want to, give credit to Superintendent Baker and Deputy Superintendent Tiffany Brown for really championing this effort to really put Black students first in all of the requirements, making sure it's being talked about, making sure it's inserted into documents, there's documentation, making sure principals are responsible for what is the Black student outcome at every single school. I can't tell you how many phone calls I get where parents are like, what's the best school for my Black child? No one should be asking that. Every school should be a good school for your Black child. So I just want you to hear that it is our responsibility as parents and your responsibility as a district to make sure that every single school is a great school for Black students. I should not be still getting these calls. So, we're here to really give some feedback on the presentation that happened, we take a few steps forward and obviously we're going to take some steps backwards, right? So I really want us to all get on the same page and talk about what is really happening. What have we asked for? We've made some gains and we've had some losses. So I'd really like us to move forward together collectively.
May I wanted to just kind of respond to Dr. Jabari as we move in. Several things that Kim mentioned was this commitment. How do we move from that commitment on paper to commitment in reality? And how and I think it speaks to the bigger part of the conversation. And then also I wanted to say, can we practice something that someone called me out for? And it was, instead of saying that our Black students are failing, can we identify the fact who's failing our Black students, that the school districts are failing our Black students, not that our Black students are failing? And someone called me out on that a couple months ago in my conversation. So can we practice that part? Because our Black students are amazing.
Thank you, Jerlene. That makes a lot of sense. And I want to share this quote on the screen that says, it's a quote directly from Dr. Baker that says, Black students are the least well served in our district. And this was from one of our board meetings. So I'm not making this up. You can go look at the board meetings yourself. But so it's not a secret, right? We all know what the problems are. So now we want to see the actions.
Yeah, thank you both for sharing that history. As Kim said, maybe we can move forward into, okay, there was this commitment made last year. I think it was in June 2021. And then what happened? I think I'm going to ask maybe Jerlene and Kim, who both sat on, or actually maybe I'll ask Michael to talk about, so what did we win in June of 2021? And then maybe we can pass it over to Jerlene and Kim to talk about their experience on the Black Student Achievement Advisory Committee. And then we want to get all your expertise in, Pastor Cedric. So maybe you can comment on the parallel kind of process that's been happening in LA and how you see that comparing to Long Beach. So let's go, Michael, Jerlene, Kim, and Pastor Cedric. Is that all right?
That's great. Thank you, Nicole. As the banner says at the bottom of the screen, in 2021, Long Beach Unified School District budgeted $750,000 to support Black students through the Black Student Achievement Initiative. And as Jerlene reminded us earlier, that came from very specific, direct, continued advocacy from parents who have been engaged in this work for a long time to fight to put Black students in the LCAP. And the LCAP is a budget document that's required for every single school district across the state, where when they make those commitments, they have to then follow up and continue with community, continue with the state, and continue with the base to show that they are doing what they promised to do in their budget. So I can pass it off to Jerlene and Kim now.
I had an opportunity to serve or sit on the Black Student Achievement Initiative Advisory. And first of all, I want to be, if I had to grade the district on the implementation of this advisory, I give them an A. And the reason I give them an A, I give them an A for the effort, because it's new, it's brand new. Yet there's a lot of things that I believe that did not happen in this process that left me very frustrated as a person who's been in the grind and learning policy and understanding the budget and how to advocate for all students, not just Black students. There was, it seemed like there was a lack of guidance on behalf of staff and expectation There was a lack of information being passed, which kind of leads up to how the board meeting presentation was very hurtful to me personally in observing. Data was not at the forefront. And the reason this Black Student Achievement came to be is because what the data said. And data, both Dr. DeBar and I both sat on this advisory, and there was repeated ask for the data. And then knowing that there were funds attached to it, there was a lack of information in regarding how this $750,000 was being spent. And that was when I did go to CDF and public advocates and ask for assistance in doing the Public Records Act request and getting information to learn that the money had not been spent. And then the presentation that was given at the school board meeting was not in alignment with reality of what was happening. And so that's kind of how where I am right now, feeling not really trusting the process, just not trusting the process, because there's been too many inconsistencies, and most of it's been based in lack of communication. And going back to what Kim was saying, these commitments that have been made, how does it really? What does it really look like in reality? So anyway, but I served great, and the committee was made up of parents, Black educators. Some of the educators were parents of students in Long Beach Unified. Experts at the table, not only in our lived experience, but their experience in education. So the advisory council was, in my opinion, it was tooled. We were just missing some things. So. Yeah.
Thank you, Jarlene. Yes, the Black Student Advisory Committee was quite an experience. It was quite an experiment, right? I mean, we're learning forward, as the district likes to say, and we agree that we're definitely learning forward. However, I think that there are some basic principles that you need to put in place when you start learning. And so there are some basic foundation building blocks that you need when you're learning. So to me, it's an excuse to say, this is new and we're learning. Yeah, I get that. We're not idiots. We get that. What I don't understand is, why aren't you doing a better job at building the infrastructure? And by infrastructure, I mean people power, right? This cannot be powered by one person. Right now, one Black woman is overseeing the Black Student Initiative, right? With some help from some other people on the edges, right? And so if you are going to go big, right, or go bold, Dr. Baker and Dr. Brown, I would say start with an office of Black Student Achievement. Right? Here's the office. There's an office in Minnesota. There's an office in Seattle. There's an office in West Contra Costa. Don't get me started. I'm a researcher. This is what we do. So we're not here to play. We know what is needed, and we can give you the tools. So we build a foundation with an office. We staff the office with people. We need people to move this. Jarlene and I are parents to do this for free, by the way, right? Nobody's paying us to sitting at the table. We have a seat at the table, and many times it's a powerless seat, right? It's a seat at the table that our opinions are not being heard. Well, I mean, we give our opinions, whether they like it or not, but nothing's really being acted upon per se, right? So we know that you can't build a building without really strengthening the foundation. And right now there's no foundation, there's no infrastructure. And it's just sort of like we're hobbling together this building with like Band-Aid or blue tape to make sure the building holds up with blue tape. Literally, this is how I feel. You've got frameworks from all different places. You've got people from all different organizations coming in and giving a talk, and Black parents being thrown in the mix to create the Sankofa Village, which is great in theory. But again, what is the foundation? Are these building blocks? What is the scaffolding, right? We're not just throwing putty at the wall and hoping that it sticks. I feel like we're in a cafeteria fight and we're throwing food at each other to see who gets hit or who doesn't, right? I mean, I'm being silly, but honestly, this is serious business, and the seriousness has to go into the framework, into the infrastructure, and into the building blocks as we really commit to Black student achievement? I'll pass it over to Cedric.
And really quick before you go, Pastor Cedric, because I want you to actually respond to something. I think I want to name kind of, what we've seen from the Black Student Achievement Initiative. So we've seen a $750,000 investment, but as a result of that PRA request, we learned that only $100,000 was spent last year on Black students, right? There was an advisory committee started that Kim and Charlene were on. There were no students on that committee, correct? And also there was no plan that was developed. And I think as Pastor Cedric can explain in much more detail, there are neighboring efforts, such as those in LAUSD with the Black Student Achievement Plan, where there has been a lot more infrastructure, funding, and engagement. And it's not perfect, I'm sure, as Pastor Cedric will talk to us about. But I think if you compare, and I would love to hear you kind of share like your analysis, Pastor Cedric, on the investment of money, the investment in infrastructure, and the engagement with the community on from what you're hearing about what's happening in Long Beach versus what you've personally been involved in LA.
No, thank you for that. Yeah, I think from one of the things that I observed, and there's a saying at the bottom of your screen from Mary McLeod Bethune. We have a powerful potential in our youth, and we must have the courage to change old ideas and practices so that we may direct their power toward good ends. And I think we have to start with understanding, and Dr. Kim and Jerlene brought it up. We have to create a movement around Black parent engagement. And one of the things that we've seen in LA came up before the pandemic. We noticed that Black student achievement was far off the mark, just like it is in Long Beach. And there were community advocates, there were parents, there were even district folks that got involved in that to generate this validated plan. I heard from Jolene and Dr. Kim about the data. The validated plan was put into place so that we could extract the data. Because if you just tell me kids are passing, but you're not giving me any percentage, you're not giving me any data to back that up, you're kind of just talking in the wind. That validated plan was put into place so that there were certain, how can I say, benchmarkers that we wanted to see to make sure that the Black Student Achievement Program for LAUSD was performing how it should perform. The validated plan was to address, training teachers and having some cultural understanding around Black students and to challenge them to be their best. It was to monitor data to better track Black student performance, because we wanted to be sure that our Black students were being assessed to get into the GATE program, to get into those gifted programs at their local schools. It was also to bolster partnerships among schools, Black families, and community groups to ensure staff hiring reflects the student body. One of the things that we really pushed for in the validated plan was to be sure that we had more teachers that looked like the students they were teaching. In particular, more Black male teachers. There are countless studies, and I know Dr. Kim is a researcher, countless studies on how a child having a Black male teacher changes the trajectory of where that child goes, how far they go academically. The other thing with the validated plan was to offer more ways to get help with classwork, not just completing classwork, but actually getting one-on-one forms of tutoring to be able to allow for our Black students to go from point A all the way to point Z, however far they wanted to go through that help. And the last thing was to make more Black students eligible for high achieving programs. such as your gifted, such as your advanced placement programs. And so that's kind of where we started with that Black student achievement program and the validated plan, to get us to the point to where on Monday we were able to entertain, because of the work that we did in local district South with Mike Romero, stating that he was going to be unapologetically focused on Black student achievement, to Tanya Ortiz Franklin, who was the board member over local district South, stating that she was going to be unapologetically focused on Black student achievement, gets us to the point to where Monday we had an audience with Arturo Cavallo, who's the superintendent for LAUSD, addressing the fact that he wants to work on and work with Black and Latino families to be sure that their needs are addressed. And he wants to do that in a very unique fashion, even to the point of bringing in clergy to connect with clergy and those that are entrusted to the care of clergy, to connect that way as well. I think the one thing that we have to be sure of, and I heard this, they didn't say it out, but I do want to be sure that we address it. What Dr. Kim and Jerlene stated, two things that I want to say. Number one, we got to be sure that when we're galvanizing, that whatever it is that we're doing, it has teeth. I think sometimes we get committees and we get things that are developed, and they want to throw us, when I say us, they want to throw us in as Black parents into certain things. And we got to stop wanting to be at the table and not knowing what's on the menu. We have to design the table. We got to design the menu. We got to know who's preparing the food in the back. If that's Big Mama and them, what's going on, who's preparing the food, so that we understand at the end of the day, we got teeth. That means we got stake in the game. The other thing is that if you have a program that is developed and it does not have Black parents and Black students that are involved in it, then that means it's part of the higher echelon. It's still coming from a controlled environment, is what I want to say. I was going to say oppressive, but I don't know if I want to go there just yet. But a controlled environment, to wherein if I need to be at the table to tell you how to handle my gift. My best gift is my 5 children. That's the best that I've given to the world. Everything else I've tried to do, I probably failed at it. But the best gifts I have are my 5 children. So when I bring my 5 children to your institution, I need to be at the table to help you to design what you're doing involving my Black student, my Black child, but my Black child needs to be there as well to talk about that.
And go ahead, Jerlene.
Is it okay? I wanted to thank Pastor Nelms for being present. You and your team reached out to me months ago and had a conversation with me and kind of help me focus on like what am I doing as a parent here in Long Beach, and I appreciate it. I know that when we had an incident of violence in our community that resulted in the death of Mona Rodriguez, and there was a call out, you showed up. And just want to say, appreciate you being present in Long Beach and adding to our support structure. And also hearing the call that when this presentation from Long Beach Unified, when they put that on the agenda, for being present at that meeting. So I was in attendance of the meeting. I believe Michael, Kim, we were all present at that meeting. And that meeting, it was last month, right? We're in November, it was October, and Long Beach Unified School District, they presented out on the Black Student Achievement Initiative. And I sat in the back of that meeting in tears. I sat there in tears. Because what was being presented was not truthful and honest, and I felt that it wasn't even authentic. I'm thankful that you were there to observe it, and I'm see if I'm a little emotional now. what were your observations as someone, and I'm sorry, Nicole, I'm all up in your lane right now. What were your observations, Pastor, as someone who kind of new at this table, or
No, I what was presented, the structure of what was presented, I think was good. I think the direction is good. But I go back to my point that I just made. If parents are not involved in that, then you're designing something for people who don't have a say so in what it is that you're designing. And so it kind of left me yearning for something that I didn't feel was present. You know what I'm saying? It's still one of those. It was, to me, it was done from a very patriarchal level of, I'm gonna, like, like when our kids were younger, I'm gonna tell you what you're going to eat and what you're going to wear. But at some point, now that my children are older, they decide what they're going to eat and what they're going to wear. And I step back away from that. I can't tell my 21-year-old kids, no, you ain't gonna eat that. No, they choose what they want to eat and wear. So I think that's what kind of it felt to me. It was more of a, it was done from a very patriarchal level of, this is what we've decided, this is what we're going to do, and there's no parent involvement in that. And that's the beauty of the validated plan in LAUSD. Parents, community advocates, pastors like myself, my friend, me and Pastor Peter Watts, pastors in the community. We even got district folks involved in that. It was Mike Romero and his team. It was Tanya Ortiz and her team involved in that at the table, hammering that out. And yes, there was tension in that, but growth comes from tension. When you have tension, you grow. And so that's what I felt, that it was still something that was lacking from the parent and student involvement in it.
thank you for that observation. I honestly, I see that now. I didn't process that then, but it was very, you said, patriarchal, and this is what we're doing. Something that really disrupted me, and I don't know if we, I guess I could pull it up, the actual presentation. There was a part in the presentation where they were the Grayson, who happens to be the director of communications, which is already confusing for me. Like, why is the Black Student Achievement Initiative under the director of communications? Made the statement, management or administration, we've decided that moving forward, that this is the structure that this is going to be. And then there was a slide that showed how the Black Student Achievement Initiative was going to move from being parent and Black educator driven to having political elects and business owners and stuff. And I'm like, how did we get there? But the thing that got me was administration decided. So right there was this complete dismissal of community, complete dismissal of parent, and someone who's very politically involved in the city. It was, my heart just like, it was just aching, like, wow. So you just basically said that this is going to be a what is it when they just, it's a window dressing advisory.
So those are very powerful words. I guess I just want to put a few more facts out on the table, which are that the Black Student Advisory Committee, it met monthly all year last year, right? Hasn't met once yet this year. And it was not consulted for this board presentation that happened in October. There was no co-presentation with community, and requests to meet were actually denied.
Denied.
So I do want to just like put out, those are the facts, right? And there might be goodwill or whatever behind some of those facts, but those are the facts.
And that's why we're doing this right now. That's one of the reasons why we're doing this right now, because the ask to meet with the school district was denied, and it was denied for reasons that made no sense, especially after, again, 3 years, 4 years of advocacy, being in communication with the district. For example, Kim, Michael, Nicole, we're not new to the district. We're not new. We're not just someone Johnny come lately that shows up. And we've been part of this process. So the denial that's why we're here right now.
And so I actually do want to hear from Jerlene and Kim, especially about your reaction to the board meeting and specifically how they invoked the Black Student Advisory Committee, because they said in their presentation, without partnering with you, right, that the programs and activities that and the recommendations for this year, Sankofa Summer Academy, Sankofa Saturdays, Sankofa After School, they were a direct result of, the feedback from the advisory committee. And my question to you is that, how do you feel about that? Is that true? Do you remember talking about those things?
It was brought to us, and I was in the meeting when that was brought to us, and we were told this is what we're going to do. And I remember asking, I'm a Children Defense Fund groupie, so familiar with freedom schools. So my first thought was, well, and I remember asking, well, why wasn't freedom schools looked as an opportunity, knowing that it had been in our city for over 15 years, and that there had never been a partnership. Because, and I'm, like I said, I'm a groupie. I'm familiar with the curriculum and how it's really supports Black students, not just Black students, all students, but Black students. So it was given to us. I don't even say it was given to us. We were just said, this is what's going to happen.
Kim, do you have anything you want to add?
Yes. I mean, you said it, Nicole. It's a presentation that's reflective of a body of people, right? Of an advisory committee that involved parents, teachers, administrators, and yeah, the head of whomever presented it mostly, and no parent involvement, no parent engagement, no parent anything, no parent storytelling, which is really critical for Black families. No, nothing, just a very corporatized presentation. That's all I got.
And I want to say, I heard nothing but praise about Sankofa Summer. And I mean, we definitely need to acknowledge that, this, again, it was something different. Yet for the district to pass it off and say that we selected that and that was part of the initiative, that's not. And that was when I thought about the PRA, because that's where I'm like, I need to release all 300 plus pages of the document.
And Jerlene, I do want to interject something that you said. Like, we're talking about the Sankofa Academy. Most people don't know what it is, right? It is a pilot program for elementary school students that happened this past summer 2022. About 50 to 60 students, I don't remember the exact numbers, were engaged in this pilot program where they learned about themselves, they learned about their history, and so on and so forth. And it was great. It was phenomenal. One of the things I heard at the Sankofa Village, which is a group of Black parents that meet once a month, and we just met this week. One parent said to me, "Why is the focus on elementary school students? What about the high school kids?" Right? And that was a clear indication to me that the parents don't even know the data, because the data tells us that there are way more elementary school Black students, which is why a lot of the resources and a lot of the attention has been put on elementary age students. And certainly if they are changing the narrative and changing their outlook in elementary school, then they have a better rate of success in middle school and high school. But that's a conversation that parents don't understand, because everyone's like, well, what about my kid in middle school? What about my kid in high school, right? So we need to understand the data that, I don't want to quote the numbers wrong, but I would say there's almost 4,000 elementary school students here, out of the 8,200 Black students, right? So there's a huge conversation that's missing when we have these groups that people don't even understand as, again, building blocks. As you engage in the conversation, start out with some understanding that here's where we at: elementary, middle, high. Here's what we're doing for the elementary school students. Here's what we're doing for middle school students. Here's what we're doing with high school students, right? My son's in high school. They're doing listening sessions of Black students. They're doing all this great stuff. So stuff is happening, but there's not good communication around what's happening and where. So it's not a why them, not us kind of situation, right? It's just, let's have all the information so that parents feel really comfortable as this plan unfolds.
And that goes back to your infrastructure point, right? Like the infrastructure needed to align everything. I'm sorry, go ahead, Jerlene.
No, what you said is important. I'm a connect the dots. Like, I literally see in dots. I see in bubbles and how they connect. And I attended the Sankofa meeting this past Monday. Absolutely beautiful. I mean, for me, any opportunity you get to be, or I get to be in a room with a bunch of Black people, let's tell you, I'm happy about it. It feels good. And to see so many parents present, I honor that. Yet the one thing that was kind of bothering to me, and I asked the question, how does Sankofa Village, so for people who don't know, Sankofa Village, if you're a parent in Long Beach Unified School District, there used to be a group called the Concerned Informed African American Parents, and it had a different name before that. It was when Black parents it was the stakeholder group of Black parents where Long Beach Unified would come and present on different information related specifically to Black students and Black like how to do high school enrollment, and different presentations. Well, CAP no longer exists. Now it's called Sankofa Village, which is new. So the meetings, there's been 2 meetings, both of them been held at Jordan High School. I attended part of the first meeting, then I attended the meeting on this past Monday. My concern is, how does that connect to the overall Black Student Achievement Initiative? Like, how does it connect? And although when I asked the question, someone answered and says, well, this is umbrellaed under it. I'm like, okay, but you're talking about creating this committee out of this group, and then there's the Black Student Achievement Committee. How do they connect? You have 2 groups that are supposed to be creating these goals for Black students, and the Black Student Achievement Initiative is also supposed to have a parent engagement component, right? Like, how does it connect? And I don't see it. Doesn't mean that it's not there, but it's disjointed. And that concerns me, because then I think about resources. I think about funding. And then the end result was, oh, well, Sankofa Village is about empowering Black parents. Okay, how does that empowerment translate to improvement of the 57% of students that are not passing whatever academic area? How does that translate?
Yeah, thanks, Jerlene. That's really important to hear about what's going on now, and just sort of seeing how the dots connect or don't connect, I guess. And so I guess as we kind of wind down our time, just want to uplift some of the themes that we've heard. I think we've heard that, the district is trying. It's doing some things well. The pilot programs that they've started have been successful. And so we applaud them for that. But we also recognize that there's a lack of infrastructure and connecting the dots that is preventing the work from being as impactful as it could. And maybe most importantly, there is I don't know how to put this, like a lack of regard for really making this a partnership with parents and students and community, and moving forward in a very sort of, as Pastor Cedric said, patriarchal way, that really can't, like, we can't win this way, right? If we're not working in partnership. So with that, I think I'd like to open it up to all of you to kind of close us out with sort of, a call to action. What do you want people listening here today to do to support this effort to, make the Black Student Achievement Initiative successful and close those long-standing, the long-standing failure, I guess, of the system of Long Beach to properly serve Black students and help them reach their potential? I don't know who wants to start, but I'll open it up.
I can definitely start by saying reach out to one of us. Let us know. Actually, let us know what's working in your schools. Let us know the good things that are happening in your school. We don't just want to hear the bad things. I don't just want to have a text that my fifth grader, not my fifth grader just got suspended, right? I don't want those texts. I want to hear good things that are happening for Black students at your school. So please reach out to Michael or myself, since we are quicker with the email responses and the email checking. Um, so that's really it. Jerlene, we love Jerlene, but we know her inbox is deep. So reach out to us, give us some feedback. Let us know, are we missing the mark? Are there things we can add to this conversation? Do you have other ideas for building this infrastructure? That's my first call to action, and I'll let other people pitch in.
Yeah, I'll jump in real quick. Just yeah, I come alongside people, and I'm coming alongside Kim and Jerlene to help to do whatever it is that whatever it is that can be done in Long Beach. I think my major push, as I put my email in the on the screen, my major push is developing a Black parent network or Black parent networks, but doing that on a local level, regional, and eventually taking that national. Because some of the things that came up, Black parents, some of our Black parents don't know what an LCAP is. They don't even know what an IEP is. They don't understand that when your child goes into special ed, he or she does not have to stay in special ed. So I just want to educate our Black parents so that they know, like with what Kim said, my kid just got suspended. Okay, well, let's go through that process. What does that mean? And why is your kid always getting suspended? Maybe there's a deeper issue that we have to concern ourselves with. Reach out to me, because I'm working with Jerlene and Kim. I'm just working alongside them. My thing is, let's develop a Black parent network so we can address some of this stuff.
Yeah, I'll jump in too. Thank you. I just want to echo what everybody has said so far. Definitely reach out to any of us if you are interested in getting involved. And I also want to remind you that getting involved looks different at different levels. And if it scared you that maybe Jerlene's inbox is a little swamped, don't worry. Your inbox does not have to look the same if you want to get involved. There are different ways to get involved. And whether you're in Long Beach or whether you're in LA or whether you're somewhere else in the state, Children's Defense Fund, Public Advocates, Innovate Public Schools are organizations that are here to help support y'all in what you are seeking. So don't be afraid to reach out, even if it's just to have a conversation, talk, and see if we are the ones to help you or if we can help assist in some other way by connecting you to somebody else.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for folks that are watching. Thank you, Nicole, Kim, Michael, Pastor Cedric, for being part of this conversation. Can I ask for a call to action from us? Would you all be willing to do this again? And maybe we can, hone in on a specific topic or subject matter. Maybe it is about IEPs. Maybe it is about the LCAP. So can I get a yes? All right. Folks who are watching is Jerlene, joined by some amazing folks. For anyone who knows me, I'm very passionate about the well-being of our students in Long Beach Unified School District and have served as an advocate for Black parents and Black students. There's a lot going on in Long Beach Unified School District, and there's a lot of commitments that have been made by the district in order to increase the success of our Black students. So I'm going to go ahead and close us out. If you're watching, please share this video. That's an easy call to action. Share this video, react, make a comment, share your story in the comments. Let us know, again, like what Kim said, what's working, what's not working. You can hit any of us up privately and share your story, because we have to make sure that we are connecting with each other, and we do need each other to be able to advance our students. And it's not just about my student, it's about all of our students. Right now, Black students are at the bottom, and our Black students aren't failing. The district is failing our Black students. Again, thank you everyone who've joined. It's been Jerlene live on something that's very dear to my heart. And that's it. Everyone good? All right, I'm going to end the broadcast. If all of you can still stay here in the studio, like, react, share. Hope to see all of you very soon.